Did he cheat?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that people wanted him to cheat because they don't like French people.
Oh, wow.
That'd be my take. I mean, when he's out on the course in the Torrey Pines and he smokes the long cigarette and he says, "Hey, you fat American. My name is Mathieu Longdong Pavon." He's the new Longdong, by the way.
He got the job done, man.
He did. That's why he's the real Longdong, Mathieu Pavon.
Longdong Mathieu Pavon. I like, there you go. Good nickname.
Poor Paul Barjon.
Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Pebble Beach Pro-Am DraftKings picks and preview. No, we do not know the tee times or if these guys are going to play this week because the weather is horrible at the moment. Tambo is in studio with me. The Listeners League is now open. It's down in the description, so go join that. Let's max it out and have some fun with a lottery ticket.
Could be some overlay in these tournaments this week. People are looking at this weather, and then I know a lot of the DraftKings team was coming back from Tournament of Champions, so a little slower on some of them. The Fantasy Golf Degenerates link should be out today, but it's a weather-filled week. We're going to see. Sunday looks just insane at this tournament, but we still got a lot to talk about. I mean, it looks like the first 3 days should be okay, so we'll see how it goes.
The first 3 days don't really look okay. I'm looking at it right now. It's going to rain the entire time.
Versus Sunday.
And there's flooding in the, like up here, there's a flood warning for the area. Yeah. So they might not play like any of this tournament.
That'd be bad.
Yeah, it would be, but it would be bad for the. It's funny because I was talking to a few people and they were showing me like the weather the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's been immaculate. Not a drop of rain.
It's always
beautiful weather. Now we get here and it's like an apocalypse. So how do you approach this sort of week? I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes trying to figure out how to play the right weather advantage. I think most notably the year that Cam Smith won the Players' Championship, and I ended up on the wrong side. Like I kind of went all in on one side thinking I knew something, and then the moment that they delayed it for 6 hours and pushed the tee times back, I didn't know anything at that point.
No, I was right there beside you, so I remember that very well. Anirban, Lahiri, and all the crew that were in the mix down the stretch. It was a tough scene, but what do we learn from that is you should always stack some of the other side, because within that tournament, Skyhook, our boy Skyler, posted it out. It was like 7% stacked the wrong wave, which was us, all in on the wrong wave, and only like 0.9% stacked the opposite, and then no other people did nothing, and it was clear one way or the other looked like it would be good. So I don't know if that's the angle here yet, because I haven't fully dove deep into this weather and whatnot, and obviously the course rotation. I mean, you'll probably you've talked about it in your research show, but the 2-course rotation versus the 3, Monterey Peninsula out, the first 2 days, flipping back and forth, and then whatever happens with the weather for delays and whatnot. But I don't know, how are you thinking about approaching it?
I think it depends. This is one of the weeks. I know we kind of say this every week, but like I made a few bets on the show with Jeff. Like I bet Thigala, Kitayama, and who was the other loser? I bet someone at 150 to 1. My mind is not working
Hubbard
today. No, it wasn't Hubbard. Jesus.
You did. I knew you were going to talk me into Kitayama, so I already made that bet yesterday.
Perfect.
I was like, I knew that was
Excellent
coming,
news.
so I joined you on that one.
It was someone else at 150. And Mav McNeely, like the rest of
Okay.
the world,
Yeah.
is who I bet at 150 to 1. But then I had to stop because I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know who's going to win anyway, but now we're just throwing more variables into the mix. So I want to see who's playing what course when they actually get on. I do think that there would be maybe a slight advantage to playing the harder Spyglass Hill in the crappier conditions because it's a parkland course. It has a bunch of trees around it. It's the one that typically is less affected by the wind than Pebble Beach, which is a golf links. There are no trees to speak of. It's on the ocean. You get flag sticks with more lean than Fat Joe, just going completely perpendicular. Or not perpendicular. Oh, man. I think I have COVID. I'm not going to lie to you.
Lovely.
Like, it's just great news. I probably don't because my wife tested for it. She doesn't have it. But I got whatever she has right now. My mind is just not working well. I would want Spyglass on the harder day if it's windier. But it doesn't look windy on Thursday. But how many times have we seen this 49-mile-per-hour wind on Wednesday night? Now we're sitting there Wednesday afternoon. It looks that way. And then we refresh at 9 p.m. in the evening, and it's all pushed to Thursday. We've seen it a bunch of times. And there's only 80 guys in the field, so there's no real wave advantage. It has to be a course advantage.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely a good breakdown there. And I was going to say that about the wind. That's the only difference. Is like we were talking about this on the first look yesterday. If you are looking at it from that perspective, the interesting part is you just got to wonder what happens with that wind from Wednesday, because it doesn't look like wind will be the issue the first 2 or 3 days. It looks like Sunday has insane winds, but it's like how wet it is, the water, the flood stuff, everything's talking about it. Like all that stuff coming in is more what it sets up like. So we'll have to see who starts on what course. But for now, I got to approach it as just, try and see what the field is going to do and then how we're going to go up against that and beat it.
Since we probably won't have a good gauge of how this is going to work in terms of the wind, in terms of the weather. Like that, once the tournament starts, and I mean, we couldn't control it anyway. But if they're like, oh yeah, 3-hour break, and then they come back, and the time that we thought they were going to play with like mist going on or something like that in favorable conditions, they come back in 3 hours, and it's waterlogged all of a sudden. You get lift, clean, and replace in place, but there's a bunch of wind now all of a sudden. Like, it's hard to really factor that stuff in. So I think I would just blindly do one build of the guys I like who are starting at one course, and then do it with the other course and hope to get lucky.
Yeah, there's that.
50-50. Like, I just don't know what the better one would be.
Yeah, you could definitely scale back your play if you think that's the case, and then split it how you want to split it. If you think it's going to be everyone's going to do this and I want to do that, do that. If you think I want to go with what everybody's doing here with this because it makes sense to me for that, do some of that. It's not like copping out as much as it just does make sense in this scenario. That's what you would want to do, how you'd probably want to allot your money and split up your bankroll, and then contest selection will be a big factor too. Obviously, if you're in these large field lotteries, probably want to take a little bit more chances on a week where it could go the other way, and it's not how often you're right, it's how much you win when you are right. So that would be the place to take that stand and do it.
So do you like weeks like this? Like, do you feel like it favors you because you're a good player and you can understand ownership, you can understand contest selection, how ownership translates from one to the other? Or are some of your advantages mitigated this week because it feels like more of a lottery than other?
That might be too tough of a question for this early, but I do think it is... It's tough to say. I don't think there's like some crazy advantage. No, because like I said, I'm just always going to, I guess for me, it doesn't really matter because I'm always going to err on the side of, the opposite for the most case, not just to be opposite, but it's like, we don't know anything. Like everyone thinks they know that it's all about the picks and the plays. And if I just get this guy right, and it's really not what it ever comes down to. It's usually something like a roster construction, an angle of attack or approach like we just talked about. So I don't know if it's a crazy advantage or anything. It's still high variables, tons of variables in PGA DFS, but I don't mind a week like this where it's sort of everyone's a little bit more afraid because I will just always go on the opposite side of that. Take more risks.
Yeah, what I've learned over the years when you get weather situations like this, that all of the groupthink ends up on like 5 guys from like a particular course, from a particular tee time, being like, well, these guys got it the best. And then their ownership is like 10% higher than maybe that you thought it was going to be. I'm just going to fade all of those guys and play someone else. I'm probably going to lose anyway. I'm going to lose that way this time.
It's a good way to do it. Definitely. It's a note. We just went through football. Football's ending. Oh, you can't play this guy in that matchup. It's the worst matchup. It's one game, and the guy could slip and fall. And he's got an 80-yard touchdown. It's the same thing here. It's golf. Anything could happen, and your guy that's 25% owned that you thought was like the lock button play because of this perfect weather spot and this perfect course setup, it doesn't work out. And now that all those lineups that you have them in, 40-50% of your lineups are all dead because you went way overweight on the wrong guy.
So how spicy do you get with lineups? Obviously, a single entry to a 3 max to a 150 build is going to be... If it's 80 guys in the field and you play 150 lineups, how many guys do you think you would play?
Probably somewhere from 45 to 50.
Yeah, especially with
I spread
in a
it
week
out.
like this.
I don't care. Like everyone has their own way of doing it and whatnot. I've talked about it plenty of times. It's worked for me. So I will probably still spread it out, especially though, because if we're talking something like the sets that I'm building in, where you just mentioned it, that's where people confuse it as well. Like, oh, he played everybody in the field. No.
I played these guys
with these lineups, these guys with these lineups. And again, people say, oh, but you're way underweight on so-and-so. But let's say, let's use Xander. Let's use Xander. Yeah, he's going to be 20% owned, 22% owned. I only have 12%, but all of my Xander lineups are 6-0s, meaning there's 6 guys on this course at this time with Xander. Well, I'm way overweight the field on Xander's 6-0s, and that's what I was actually building for. So I'm very comfortable with where I'm at, and I'm not paying any rake or doing it like, oh, you were way underweight on that guy. I built in a very specific way. It has nothing to do with what you're thinking right now.
Because what people want to do is click, like, what they think that you're doing is going to fantasynational.com/Mayo, by the way, to get yourself 20% off. The new tools. It's flying, by the way. Mike put in a new server, and it's just like, boom.
Yeah, new servers are nice.
Yeah, new servers really speed up the process here. But what people think when you say that, and obviously you just explained how that's not the case, is you go and you star 65 guys and hit generate lineups and just download CVS, upload, and you're on your way. That is clearly not what you're doing.
That's right. So we talked about it. I mean, we got some strategy shows coming up. We've done some strategy shows in the past. It's like that's the angle of approach. I think for a beginning player, and I want to help people play DFS. I think PGA DFS is awesome. I talked about getting my dad into the one and done, things like that. Like I want to get as many people involved as possible. I think for a beginning player, that's probably playing lighter. I say if you play lighter, play tighter, meaning get your pool figured out, look for those spots to get leverage and overweight and all that. You're probably not going to that next level of looking at some of the stuff that I'm doing or building in sets or looking at angles of approach and what the field's doing. So then I would say get leverage on the guys that you're playing. So I'd probably tighten up your pool. But for how I'm doing it, that's just why I said it that way, is like, obviously there's going to be some stuff this week, it looks like, with weather, course advantages, where they start, all these things. So probably a little bit wider pool when it comes to that, and it'll just be set up that way.
Do you have a particular skill set that you want to target here? Because I continue to waffle between what I want to do, because we saw at the U.S. Open in 2019 under harder conditions, but under harder conditions with all of the best players in the world, all the guys who bomb it off the tee played really well. And that's not usually what you see at this course. What you normally see at this course is everyone is kind of live who can hit the most shots from 140 yards to 10 feet and make all the putts. That is this tournament. But do you think with the quality of player and the quality of field being so high versus your average tournament, that maybe what we typically look at for a skill set isn't actually the right thing? Like, maybe we want Scotty. I mean, you always want Scotty, but just like, yeah, he's going to hit like 90% of greens in regulation in these tiny greens, and even if he three putts, it's not that big of a deal because everyone three putts here.
I was just gonna say, you said the last line, the latter part there is the key for that. Definitely the putting. You can be negated pretty quickly for a lot of guys anyway. So who cares that a guy like Scotty or Spieth or sometimes have problems with their putter? They can always find it and figure it out in a spot like this. And then the other angle too is just the course history one. Like, a lot of people are leaning on that and going back to it, but obviously I talked about this a ton last night with Kenny. The strength of field is massively different. You take someone like Jordan Spieth, who has a great history here, but then you look at the years he played. I think there's 10 of the top 15 in DraftKings pricing that didn't play once at all when he had those, the win, the second, the third, all that. None of those guys were in the field. On top of the couple that were, like the Max Homas and the Sam Burns that played it one time or a couple times, whatever it might be, this is like 5 years ago, Max Homa, 4 years ago, Sam Burns. Like, they're just way different players now and have got much better, have put up tons of wins since, big time wins, things like that. So it's really a much different strength of field than what we saw here in the past.
So does that make you change your opinions on what we saw because the field is different? Because the only thing I would push back on that, we've seen the Heritage be one of those events, the signature event, all the best players, and it's like still kind of all the same guys at the Heritage.
Yeah, it can happen for sure. I just think that the problem is when you got 15, I mean, it's going to be also too, it's a no cut. Stars and scrubs is always going to be a popular approach. No matter what, you're going to see this 8K range go overlooked when we get to it. It's just the way it works. Even though there's good guys in there, it's because there's names in the 7s and 6s people can get to. I still think that, again, when the top 15 guys, there's like 10 of them that haven't even played it or played it once back when, they're going to come through. These are still the best players in the best field. They're still going to show up, I think. So, and little notes too, like we talked about Heritage last night, actually, was, remember the year? Oh, Cam Young, he's a terrible fit for this course. He sucks. There's nothing he could do here. I mean, and then he finished third.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you just translate that, what you just said, to Cam Young every single tournament, that's probably what you want to do.
But like, yeah, so I forget who said it. Someone said about like Ludwig at this course, like you kind of takes away. So we saw last week, he played well. Everyone thought the course set up well for him. It was kind of, a little bit of short putts and things like that got him, but he ended up still gaining.
He gained 4 more strokes putting than Tony Finau did.
Right,
let's pump the brakes here a little bit.
Finau crushed over the weekend just without the putter. Everything but the putter, so we'll talk about him. But yeah, that's my point, is I guess people then say, but this course might not set up as well for a guy like him, but it just as easily could, right? So
it very much could, and if no one is playing him, then I would go with it. But if he would... Usually when that's the case and we talk ourselves into this skill set or that skill set, I do think that the big bombers generally have their biggest skill mitigated here. But there's 2 different factors at play. One would be these fairways in the Pro-Am setup are super wide. They were condensed at the U.S. Open that year. So a lot more players who are shorter hitters missed the fairway than they normally would at a tournament like this. So even though the rough was longer, just being farther down in the rough was a huge advantage versus being back, because you could still hit your wedges out of it rather than hitting a 7-iron, something like that. At this tournament, and here becomes the tricky part, the fairways are wide. It has the highest proximity of any course on tour. Pebble Beach, that is, because that's the only one we have shot link data from. The proximity from the rough is the closest to the hole of any course. This rough is like nothing here. But if it just pours rain the entire time, we know that makes the rough way worse. So do you now switch back to being like, well, I need the accuracy guys? That. This is where my mind has been going this week.
Yeah, it's going to be soaked. Like you said, it sounds like coming in either way. So, we looked at that last week. The rough can be tough to hit out of. They could definitely just switch back to what you said and just look for those guys that find those fairways, can get their way up there. They're going to find. I mean, the other thing, too, is the pin placement still should be pretty easy for days at least 1 and 2.
If I can ever get someone who's played in one of these Pro-Ams professionally on, what I would want to ask them is, day 3, Now, there's like day 3 at the Amex, Saturday. So they don't move the pins at all the first 3 days. And when you see the guys at the stadium course for the American Express on Saturday, the scores were way lower than the other 2 days. But that's the grouping that has all of the good players in it. So like Justin Thomas and Scotty Scheffler. They're all a part of that wave that plays on Saturday that gets on TV. That's why they set it up that way.
Yep.
But is there an advantage to playing it like, people are walking around the hole? Maybe that's a disadvantage, but there's a whole bunch of people who have read the putts. You can go see the putts if you really wanted to scout it out time over time, because that's the only one that's on TV. It seems like it would be a huge advantage if you got to play that the third day.
Yeah, I think it's more of the former, like you said, just all the better players. That's the thing. Like last week you're talking about, it's exactly it. The TV time, the Saturday, the weekend spot, it was all the best dudes. What was it? I think someone said it was a fair split. It was still like 6 of the top guys were out there on that course. So you're going to see lower scores. Plus the guys get to beat it up. I don't know. I think they just learn more over the time, and that's why it becomes so much easier. I expect it to be very similar here over the first 2 days. And it's wet. It's a little bit of an advantage, but for everybody. So we could see a little bit of lower scores if you can just get it in the fairway, find the green, and then roll them in. That's what we could see over the first 2 days. And it might matter if Sunday, for some reason, can't happen or gets pushed or whatever. I don't know. Monday doesn't look that much better. It's better than Sunday, but it doesn't look that strong.
Yeah, just to look at the forecast and look at Monday and look at Sunday. Sunday is worse, but like Sunday looks unplayable. Like
that's what I mean. Right now, I know it sounds crazy we're saying it, but it's just the facts. And Monday, you'd say, okay, well, I'll just move into Monday, but Monday doesn't look that much better.
Yeah, it's going to rain all day Monday with an average wind of 24. Maybe you'd have to go out and play it. I would bet that if anyone is committed to the waste management field and they weren't like in contention, they might. Although I wonder if they have to finish to get their guaranteed money at this event.
Don't know how that one works, but I looked at it, and some of the top names maybe no, but for the majority, a lot of these guys are in the waste management. I counted at least like 30, 40 just scrolling through. Of the 80. I mean, that's still quite a few of the field when you think about it, what's going to be there on Sunday.
Yeah, they're really making a full court press here over the next 3 weeks to really generate some buzz for some of these tournaments. This one next week has the lesser field, then Riv has everyone again. And Tiger's playing, which is, I hear, always good for ratings at his own tournament. So let's jump over to DraftKings and try to make some lineups here. Like it's really tough for me to really even consider where to start right now. ShipItNation.com, code Mayo. You guys, I'm guessing, will have your plays all the way up until lock, basically.
Yeah, we're going to be all over it. The Discord, the stuff in the back end. We'll be adjusting our projections based on everything that's happening, our ownership based on everything that's happening. So it's really fully dynamic over there versus just throwing some stuff up. I saw last week some sites doing the showdown projections and whatnot, and they're basically just going off the price tag, not considering at all that some guys are playing the North Course versus the South. Like literally made 0 sense. So no effort when it comes to that stuff. That's something we take seriously and put a lot of effort into. So ShipItNation.com, code Mayo, still gets you 10% off the season or the monthly pass there if you want to check it out.
I won a showdown GPP in round 1 last week.
I saw that, $1,000.
There we go. Should have played the big one. Would have won 20 grand.
I'm sure. How many people told you that?
Lots.
Oh God.
Yeah, I didn't know because I didn't play it. That's what I told the first person. I was like, well, I didn't play that tournament, so I couldn't have won anything realistically.
I got a better one for you on Sunday. I had the 3rd place in the Wildcat. Oh, if you had played the Mega Millie, you would have won it.
So if you had played a tournament that cost $4,444,
which I've always said, I only play if I have tickets to it. I do try and play the satellites in. I've been in it. If it was my lucky week that I had one of the tickets and that was the lineup that I picked of the 3 that I played in the Wildcat, then yes, I would have won the Millie, but I'll take the 40K and move on. It's like just the way it goes. But yeah, people love to tell you what you would have won.
It's because they're losers who didn't win anything.
Maybe.
And they're just mad.
It's funny.
Anyway. That's what happens. Let's talk about building some of these lineups. Like, where do you start? Like, not knowing the tee times as we're recording the show, really should have thought about that going into this week with a split course. But here we are. We're talking about it, and I don't have that much energy left before I go die somewhere for the next 5 hours and have to record like 2 more shows.
I'm glad I already feel a little under the weather as well, so maybe it's just we have the same and it's not you just transferring it over this way. But I think one thing I would look at first, Pat, is just like when you just see the pricing, when you just see everything, like for example, Eric Cole, $7,300. I really don't care that he missed the cut last week. You would have to think people are fine with him and taking the risk again at a no cut at $7,300. So like, what does the lineup look like to you at least? Maybe he's not in it for you. Of if people just looked at this pricing and said, I'm going to build a good lineup, it's very soft pricing when you look at down the board. Like in the 6K range, there's guys, whatever. But I feel like JT Poston, 7,900.
Max Homa, 92.
Max Homa, 92. Cole, 73. These guys feel like people would just click on them because of their price.
I don't know about Poston. Cole, I would 100% agree with. And he should get a pass for last week. Like, do we really think that Torrey Pines is a good course for short-hitting Eric Cole?
Didn't work out.
No, it didn't work out because it's a terrible course for his skill set.
You should have been able to get the North. Come on, that was a bad day.
It was a bad day, but
a guy can have a bad day. That's right.
Like they're not everyone's going to shoot 63 every single. Hey, Johnny Vegas shot 7 under at the North course. Unfortunately, he was 6 over at the South course.
Yeah, that one was close, but that was almost mixed in with the mindset narrative. It happened for Morikawa, crushing after day 1.
Slip back day 2.
Didn't work on day 2.
As someone who has bet a lot of Colin Morikawa over the years, he has to be the most profitable round 1 showdown player.
There you go. You'd have to.
He's
Cut
great.
Sweats would have that information.
He is great in round 1 and he struggles in round 2. Like the amount of times I've had an outright bet on Morikawa and he's within the top 3 after Thursday and just not there on Sunday.
Yeah, Papa Tambo got welcomed into the world of one and done, thinking he was crushing with Colin Morikawa after day 1 on the North course. And then what happened to Colin? He says, "Yeah, that's what happens, Dad." So yeah, sorry for you, but he had Xander the week Dunlap won, so he was happy about that money trickling over to him.
Yeah, well, I went through it. There's 13,000 picks made so far through 3 weeks, and only 4 people had Bez.
Wow.
Who is the only win technically so far because Dunlap didn't get the money.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So Cole and Homa, 73 and 92.
Yeah, I like that starting point. What other guys stood out to you, I guess? I mean, we did the first look yesterday to look at some of this pricing. It is very soft, like I said, but was there other guys that stood out? The only reason I said Poston was because if you look at his recent form, it's like 3rd, 4th, and 11th or something, or 5th, 9th, and 11th. It's very good off of that, but I guess tougher field, so it kind of makes sense. Who else was some of the guys that stood out to you?
Nick Taylor at 72. I like him at this course. He just consistently plays this course well over time. He has a win at this course, and he's playing some decent golf. Like he had a bad run coming down the stretch to miss the cut at the American Express, but he's been playing pretty well going into that. Ben Ann. But the thing is, these guys don't leap out to me as like great values, but I like their pricing. Like Ben Ann at 8,000, I like that. But I think a lot of people will like it because the weirdest thing is, and I still can't for the life of me figure this out. Why is everyone in on Beau Hossler this week?
He came through for them last week, I think, right?
Yeah, he was good last week. And listen, he's played well at this course, but he is priced amongst like real people here.
Yeah. We'll see how that one, if it goes okay. I've seen more conversation around a guy like Cam Davis, where people feel comfortable getting 4 rounds from a cheap Cam Davis. And like they don't want to risk him when it's only 2 rounds. But when you know you're getting 4, he's popping off the page as another guy at 6,700. I've heard some Glover love.
I saw a bit about Lee Hodges at 6,000. If it was me, I would play Seamus Power at 6,000.
Hasn't he been good here too?
He has been in his career. It's just he came back from injury. He withdrew like 2 weeks ago, and then like he was bad at Torrey Pines. But I don't expect him to be good at Torrey Pines anyway. Like I would like to see something, but if he's going to get all the biggest problem with him, where he is a bit of an injury concern, is that he might WD, and then you're absolutely fucked.
Yeah. He's like the new, I don't know who we've done this with different guys in the past. Gary Woodland was one that we used to always do this. Oh, it's an easy course, play him. Like, oh, it's a hard course, you can play him because he grinds. It's like
he's a bomber, but he plays short courses well too.
Yeah, it's like Power has all of that. So we always bring it, like it just gets brought up. You could make a case for Power any way you wanted to here if you wanted to. But I saw a little bit more love for Cam Davis in that range. Taylor makes a ton of sense at 7,200 to your point there. Trying to see who else.
Like Justin Rose at $7,500. I like
last year's winner.
He did win here last year. Everyone seems to have forgotten that because he's the same price as Denny McCarthy this week.
All the winners, last year's winner, and then the 4 winners so far this season are in this field, 7,500 or less. Because Kirk is 7,500, and then Murray, Dunlap, and Bez, I think, are all less, right?
That tracks.
Or actually, not even Bez, because Bez doesn't count. He just got the money. Who was the other winner that I'm forgetting? Kirk, Dunlap.
Grayson.
Grayson was the other.
And Pavon.
And Pavon, 7,100. You got it there with Mathieu. Did he cheat?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that people wanted him to cheat because they don't like French people.
Oh, wow.
That'd be my take. I mean, when he's out on the course in the Torrey Pines and he smokes the long cigarette and he says, "Hey, you fat American, my name is Mathieu Longdong Pavon." He's the new Longdong, by the way.
He got the job done, man.
He did. That's why he's the real Longdong, Mathieu Pavon.
Long Dong, Mathieu Pavon. I like, there you go. Good nickname.
Poor Paul Barjon.
He's done.
Yeah, launched.
He played last week, too. He had his
I played him in a lineup last week.
He had his shot. Didn't work out. Sorry, buddy.
So of the guys down here, I mean, I love Kitayama. but that's me.
Then I think of going back up though. Is it Spieth? Is it Xander?
So
gotta
many
be
lineups
Spieth.
are going to have Homa and Spieth in them. It's going to be ridiculous.
So there we go. So we got that with Cole and Taylor. I think is fair.
Well, I had Power in here. So let's throw in Taylor. Do we think that Taylor's going to be popular? Because I think that Hostler is going to be popular.
I think Finau is going to be popular for sure.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess he's always kind of popular, but like
he's back to that. That's what. So I've been saying this all year about it. I said if like Thigala and Cole and guys like this were getting the new late, like Hostler was one even too, the last minute steam and the bump where Finau was no longer. It used to be Finau, Fowler, Fleetwood, all the Fs that stood for fraud. They would always get the bump at the end. Now it's not been the case, but Finau is back. And then you know what? People go look at the stats, man. Like Finau absolutely crushed over the weekend, tee to green, ball strike, just everything, but not the putter.
Yeah, but you have to remember, Tony Finau is a good guy. This we know. I mean, maybe we don't know that, but by all appearances, he seems like a really good guy. So he's getting. I mean, there is regression when it comes to putting. Like you're gonna, even if you lose 5 every week, one of these weeks you're gonna gain 5 on the greens. He knows that we all have these futures on him at the Mexico Open. He's just saving it all for that week. He's going to putt terrible this week, next week, the week after, and then boom, he's going to win by 40 in Mexico.
I checked it out. It's down to 12 now.
Is it? It's going to be 4-1 by the time that opens.
Yeah.
Rahm opened at 4-1 on Live this week, with the next closest guy being 14.
Did you see his nice marketing ad for Live?
Yeah, I forget who.
DJ Khaled.
I went through it. I was just scrolling through my Twitter notifications. I think it was David who sent it to me. He just rigged it up. It looks like the poster from the movie The Room.
Yeah, someone had that one.
Hi,
too.
Mark.
I saw that.
Oh, hi, John.
I saw that. But I said, actually, I think that's good marketing. It won't help Live no matter what, but I thought it was still good that they had everybody talking about it.
I like that
because of
they're trying.
They're trying their best.
People now, I mean, they know that John Rahm is on Live. That's what it showed us. I still don't think that people actually know that there's a tournament going on this week.
I don't know if Live even knew. Didn't their shit just come out? It might even actually come out today. Like they didn't even announce all their stuff. That was like the announcement of the announcement coming. So yeah, that's the setup we've got over there. But
if we build this lineup, we have Cole, Homa, Taylor, and Spieth.
It's Finau, Benny Ann to round it out.
Oh yeah, that
for the chalk.
Yes.
If you want to see the quick chalk build, I mean that's
it right there.
Something like this will be it, and then people can pick their spots of whether they want to go a one-off to. I don't know, like a Jagger or a hat. Jagger always gets the late steam too.
Well, he should. He's great.
It's been insane.
There's another guy. If you want to go look at putting splits, a guy who couldn't make a fucking putt at the South Course.
He had one crazy round too.
If you think that Aubert had a bad putting week, go look at Jagger's numbers. It just you didn't bet on Jagger, so you didn't notice it.
That's right. And I usually love this guy, but I'll tell you what, this is the running joke because Kenny and I did it like one of the first weeks. I think it's now like 37 out of 38. 37 of his last 38 made cuts. And a lot of top 20 finishes. Like it's just not a lot of top 5 finishes. He gets a third now, though. He feels pretty good coming off of that. But it is crazy. And now he's at 7,300. It's a no-cut event. Just let him go out there and score.
So he makes the cut every week. Now he's in a no-cut event, which he's not normally used to playing. He's definitely going to WD.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be, yeah. Oh, man, if you called that one, that'd be a big one. So Nick Taylor could be Jagger in that lineup?
Yeah, well, do you think that there will be movement towards Cam Davis? Like if you're hearing this buzz about him already, he seems to be the guy, like just to look at it objectively from 6,900, 6,800, 6,700 of all of these guys, he's usually the most popular. And that's just in a week like this, people be like, oh, I usually play Cam Davis. Oh, there's no cut. Perfect.
Yeah, the tough part is like there's other guys. I just don't know if it'll get out of control because, you like Kitayama. People love Svensson. People like the ASs always get the love. Adam Schenk, Adam Svensson, Alex Smalley. There's 2 of them right there. Schenk and Svensson, List, Griot. Like there's other options. So I don't know, but I've definitely heard people talk about the fact that Cam Davis gets all 4 rounds.
Don't sleep on Tom Hoagie, former winner of this event at $6,700 either.
I thought you were going to say Jake Knapp, but he's not here.
No, he came back. Yeah, he finished his nap, showed up to Torrey Pines. Now he's back taking his nap again.
Yeah, he's back. Hibernation.
I mean, I guess the elephant in the room here is Mav McNeely at $6,200. Like he might be like 20% owned.
Should he be?
Probably. I bet him to win.
Yeah.
Like he just makes, and if he is going to be that high owned, then I'm not playing him. Like just straight up, like it seems like a terrible idea. I do think that he grew up basically on this course. There's a reason that he's in this field and has all these top 5 finishes. Like no one knows this place better than him, and he's actually healthy again. He's playing. He had a terrible Saturday at Torrey Pines, but before that, he was in like the top 5 at 2 holes into the final round last week.
What happens if we play your two long shot bets, Mav and Kitayama? You get 9,300 left per.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, that's when I started to look at how much Mav McNeely was going to be. Like, I could easily do lineups like that. Like, that's fine by me. But if everyone is kind of having the idea, like, if Mav gets up there, like, if you just play Mav, you have 87.60 left for your other players. And let's say you use Ben Ann, who's going to be very popular.
I worry you fall into like the same trap though. You get like Cole, Homa,
You do.
Spieth, and you land in almost the same build.
So
just
what-
with
what-
a cheap guy.
So I would
So you get one more bump.
take the chance and play Power instead of McNeely, who's going to be 2% owned versus 20% owned, and like whatever.
Yeah.
I'll take my chances. Maybe he gets a good weather draw, and then go with Kitayama. Once again, Kitayama, second place going into the final round here last year. Shot a 76 on the final day. So now we have 9,300. What we need to find now is there someone in the mid sevens. Like, I love Thigala this week. Can we go Thigala? Now we have 9,800. And we can start picking off these guys. Be like Scotty. Fleetwood? I mean, we've said this once before this year that no one was going to play Fleetwood. And I don't think that they did at the Century, did they?
Can't see him being super popular here.
Yeah, like by what I'm seeing from Fantasy National early, basically Aubert, Finau, and Finau will get some late steam here, and Aubert will as well. So basically, Young, Fleetwood, Sungjae, Day will have the course history people. Then you'll have Fitz. I mean, I love Fitz, Matsuyama, and Højgaard, and Tom Kim. Like, zero ownership on those guys, basically.
You can get Spieth into this lineup then if you go Spieth and Fleetwood.
I think I'd rather play Spieth and Fitzpatrick.
Is that possible too?
Yeah. You actually have $500 left over to upgrade if you wanted to.
So if you go Spieth and Fitzpatrick, who's at 6,500 instead of your boy Power? Anybody?
List, Glover, Grayson, Mac Hughes. Oh, this reeks of a Mac Hughes week, doesn't it?
It does. I mentioned
Like,
that
hey,
yesterday.
let's chip in 8 times.
Yeah, just what he seemingly does. Yeah, he's right there for that. You could also go. Where was it at? Thigala up to Jason Day, Hideki.
What about Dietrich? I feel like Feinberg, but he is 6,600. I'm not betting him to win. The guy kind of shows up all the time, and then he just has one implosion round most of the time. If he's
Yeah, you're
in
getting
contention.
4 rounds at least. That's the thing. He's same price as Kitayama though.
Yeah,
So you play him instead or play both.
I would play Kitayama instead, but playing both probably isn't a terrible idea. Like Putnam, this is a Putnam type course, this is a Griot type course, if that's the way that you want to do it. Bez was one that was actually sticking out to me pretty well too. Only because, we just saw, the reason that, here's a prime example of what you were talking about you can't play this guy here, he doesn't do this. Me not playing Mathieu Pavon last week, a guy that we had talked about on Sony at the American Express, and he was good at both those events. He was just riding good form. I looked at Torrey Pines like, no. Not a chance for this guy here. He doesn't have the right skill set. Well, he made a bunch of putts and played really well. Played above his baseline, and he won. Bez, he missed the cut at the Farmers. That makes sense. Like, he kind of did what I thought the Pavon would done. He's coming off the second at the American Express. He was T6 at the Sanderson Farms during the swing. He played well over in South Africa. And if there's ever a course, that is going to put an emphasis on hitting 15-foot putts, hitting good 130-yard shots, and hitting every fairway, it's this place. And that's all he does. There's like the 3 things that he can do.
So you could swap Power Kitayama to Bez and McNeely.
Oh, really?
Yes. That's nice. Nothing wrong with that.
Chef
Scotty, Spieth, Fitz, Thigala, and then you get Bez and McNeely. That's not bad.
I'm here for it.
That's fine.
Do you like Victor, Rory, or Scotty?
Scotty.
I like Scotty too.
One interesting thing was you talked earlier about how popular Spieth and Homa are. Mm-hmm. And I was just looking at this. If you go Spieth and Homa, but you want to get Scotty in on top, I think you can literally land on your favorite players.
Oh, really?
I think you get Nick Taylor, Kitayama, and McNeely in there. Yeah, you do. So
What do you make of a build like that? Like, is that any good?
I'm fine with it.
So you said it was
The
McNeely.
4-day no cut, like that's what I'm saying. I'm looking for ways to get different. If most people are starting with Spieth and Homa and then balancing it out from there, they all get the same stuff. Like if Kitayama outscores your Eric Cole play, or if Mav McNeely outscores your Benny Ann play, like these are very possible things to happen and definitely can happen. So I just have no problem with stuff like that. That's just looking for a way to get different with a common build. I don't necessarily love that part of it, but the fact it's like 11.99, 7.66, like it's definitely a different construction.
Shouldn't Tom Kim be good here?
Yes. And he's 8,000.
He's just not been good in a while.
A lot of times, yeah, people aren't good until they are.
That's
just
true.
the way it
I guess he
goes.
won, but he had a nice run from basically the Scottish through his win in Vegas. And he really hasn't played all that much since, but it's been a pretty lackluster first 2 starts for him to 2024.
Yeah, the other big thing is up top is with Rory. We didn't spend a lot, I mean, because we don't have the tee times, all stuff. It's kind of good conversation, but like the Rory stuff, for some reason, I noticed this in the YouTube chat yesterday, and just even talking to some other people. Like people, they think like Rory's rusty or they don't know what's going on with him. The dude won.
He has a second and a first in 2 starts,
And the second should have been a win. He
Yeah.
4-putted or 3-putted that hole from like 4 feet, and then Fleetwood got the W. It was like, yeah, they both played really well, but I feel like Rory's just fine. And I don't know how aggressive it would be, but it looks pretty aggressive. It's like
Rory Scotty?
The Rory Scotty.
Would you want to go Rory Scotty or go Rory Vic?
I'd rather go Scotty Vic if I could pick.
Let's do that. Let's do a Scotty Vic. So I think that not that Rory's going to be like unowned, but I do think that he gets underowned.
Yeah, I think they're all going to get loved by the end of it. Like, I don't think it's going to be that crazy if it's, 15 for Rory and 21 for Scotty. But then again, like I said, when you see all these 9K builds starting with, Jordan Spieth, Homa, Morikawa, all these other dudes, it could definitely spread it out as well.
So we talked a little bit about Homa and Morikawa, but in terms of actual lineup generation so far at Fantasy National, Cantlay is the most generated player in lineups. It's Cantlay and Homa.
Yeah,
so maybe that's the actual start that people are going to have. And if they can go to the bottom, get a Mav McNeely, get a Cam Davis, whoever it is, they can find themselves back up there again if they want to.
Cantlay home, you almost have $8,000 left.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to go down to a
But what you could do is if like we take a look at it, let's go back to Scotty and Hovland in a second. But just noticing this, you go Cantlay, Spieth, or Cantlay, Homa. Let's throw Spieth in it because I think that's where people would go again to try to get back up.
You can still get Cam Davis, Eric Cole, and whoever you want.
Yeah, you get Eric Cole, your boy Poston, or Ben Ann. Poston at 79. I don't know if he ends up getting up there.
Well, that's what I said. Like, if you go Cam Davis, Eric Cole, you have 7,700 left. You can get Connors, Scott, Harmon. I think Kirk could end up a little bit popular as well.
Well, this is why I think that Mav McNeely ends up being higher than people project him to be. Because if you just throw Mav McNeely into it, you're back up to 8,200. And now you have your pick of that Fitz, Højgaard, Kim, Ben Ann, Poston range.
Probably Fitz. Like, Fitz
It's probably Ben. I think that Ben Ann is most definitely going to be the highest owned of those guys.
Yeah, so if it's Ben Ann, then do people look to spend that money a little bit more? Maybe they go off Cole and go up to Kirk.
I think there's enough bad course history
Or they just leave the money.
for Chris Kirk. Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
mean, maybe
matter.
they won't, but you could take Spieth up to Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas is probably going to be the lowest owned guy of these guys, I would think.
I think so.
And he's another one. He's playing some decent golf right now.
Yeah, like if you played a Rory Justin Thomas start, it's probably fine.
Should we see what that looks like?
Yeah, let's see.
Could we go Rory, JT? And how do we get different? Like now we have 72, so we're back into the same trap that we've been in the entire time.
Well, you're already different enough up top. If you
True.
do like those plays in the sevens, go ahead. You can get away with a McNeely now because you're really counting on like everyone with McNeely lineups. Probably how many McNeelys have Rory and JT starts? Like that's where the differentiator comes in, where people sometimes they go Rory JT and we're already off the beaten path. We know it. Scotty's going to be more popular than Rory. All those guys around JT are going to be more popular, but then people continue to go down it. And like, how can I keep leveraging this? You don't necessarily have to. Like if you go McNeely now, even if he's popular, but if you like him because you think he's truly underpriced, you now have almost 7,600 left for 3 spots. You can just play the guys you want.
You play Kitayama, Ben Ann, and JT Poston if you wanted to.
So Kitayama.
Actually, you could play Højgaard. You could play Tom Kim and Ben Ann, or Højgaard and Tom Kim.
Yeah, like who do you like of those ones?
I like Ann a lot. I don't think I'm alone on that. And like I said, I think I'm going to look at some of these ownerships and see. I see the big red next to Ben Ann being like, oh, he's being generated in 25% of lineups right now. Everyone kind of thinks he's going to play well this week.
And of note, I always look at these 2v2s, especially in golf. It's really helpful. Every single Rory JT lineup can be Scotty Cantlay.
Ooh.
So, like, what do you think is going to be more popular? We know it. Obviously, Scotty is going to be more popular than Rory. Cantlay is going to be more popular than JT. More people are starting their lineup with Cantlay, as you saw over there. More people are starting their lineup with a super stud up top with Scotty. Put them both together, but every single lineup that has those two can be Rory JT for a quick 2v2 switcheroo.
I played them both.
And you get them done.
One way, the other way.
And you got money left over in some cases too.
Yeah, depending on who you want to use. So what do you think is going to be, like, is there a balanced build that you, actually we said Scheffler and Hovland. Let's try to build one of those out. You get $7,100 left. So let's try to do something different than we've been doing at the bottom. Be it Cole or Nick Taylor. Like one of those two guys has been going in everything. We've been using Mav McNeely. I've been throwing in Kitayama because I like him. Let's try to play it a little bit differently. So if this was you and you were building your $7,100 lineup, how would you go about it from here?
I'd be looking at, right now, I'd probably look at someone like Patrick Rogers at 6,900. I would look at Adam Schenk at 6,700 instead of
Kitayama
or Cam Davis. So like if I just do mine for a quick second here, it would be Adam Schenk, Patrick Rogers. That leaves me 7,400, and then I would probably be comfortable closing it out with Kirk as the more popular guy than Cole, and instead of Cole, maybe again could be just as popular, but I'll go with my boy Jagger and close it out there. You could use Cole instead of Jagger.
You could use Hadwin instead of Jagger if you wanted to.
Yeah, I like Hadwin too, actually. Yeah, just to say it. But like I said, that again, I think with Scotty Hovland up top and then Schenk and Patrick Rogers, I really don't care if you close it out with Kirk and Cole, the two popular guys. Like it's already somewhat unique and definitely unique down at the bottom. It's got no 8s and no 9s in it at all. So when you're erasing two full ranges of popular areas, that's another thing.
So here's how I would manipulate this. 66 gets me Kitayama, I bet. Yeah. I would go Scheffler, Hovland. You have Schenk in there from who you like. Kitayama, I threw in Siwoo and Keegan. No one is playing Siwoo. No one is playing Keegan.
Feels a little disrespectful on Siwoo.
And Keegan. Everyone played Keegan last week. And what did Keegan do for you? Well, it wasn't much, but I'll tell you what he did. He was 4 over par on Wednesday in his first round. And he went birdie, eagle to get himself back to +1. Then what did he do? On Thursday in the second round, he was there on the cut line again. He was well behind it. And he goes like birdie, birdie, birdie to get himself inside of the cut. He rallied. He grinded for the good people out there.
I like it. I don't know if Siwoo does Siwoo like Pro-Ams? I forget.
I don't know. He came third here one year. After Heritage, the second most money I ever had won on DraftKings until like the past few years was a lineup at Pebble Beach. It had Stallings, Siwoo, and Phil in it. And they were like 1, 2, and 4.
2019, yeah, Siwoo came.
Because I had a ton of money on Phil to win, and he beat Casey.
He's got 4 miscuts surrounded by the 4th place.
I mean, that sounds like...
But I did still like the price.
That sounds like Siwoo, doesn't it? Like, if we're at a tournament now where there is no cut, and guys can, like, fire at Pro-Am pins, like, you're going to figure out what Siwoo you're going to get pretty quickly.
Oh, for sure. That's the one thing we like about him, boom bust. You know what you're getting. If it's either over or it's great. One of the two.
And usually I'm not one to play Siwoo when people are on him. And usually when people are on him, that is when he does better because they're at one of his courses. But on paper, this should be one of his courses. It does everything he does well. Well, he doesn't hit the ball a mile, but he hits every fairway. He can be electric with his irons, and his putter can go nuclear from time to time. If the current projection on him in terms of ownership right now is 0.8%, it's going to be higher than that, but it just shows that no one is clicking his name. No one is clicking Ricky Fowler's name either.
Definitely not. I think I saw places 170 to 1.
He is. Like Wyndham Clark and Justin Rose are not popular, but they're not like Ricky and Siwoo are.
If you just want, okay, we talked about this part. I guess this is another angle to approach it from. If they're all, I mean, we know it's only 80 guys, pretty close waves. It's all, wet conditions. Yes, the course is tougher, but the wind, we've already said, maybe not a factor as much because it doesn't look like as much wind as it is wet. And then you factor in the easy pin placement for all of them. All these guys can just fire away. What's like the ultimate scoring lineup? You got Fantasy National there. You can pull up some stuff too. Like, what are the guys that we want to just fire away and hope to get lucky in the sense of they just score like crazy here?
I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Rory's the king of that. Rory and Siwoo are like.
I like the Siwoo. We'll put Siwoo for this version.
Siwoo is like the homeless man's version of Rory when it comes to that type of story.
We can finagle it after. I just think when you think about it, like you talked about, what type of play this week are you taking, or is there more when there's more variables like this? It's like we know What variable wins the DraftKings GPP tournaments? Whoever scores the most fantasy points. That's what I'm thinking, right? When you factor all the other stuff in.
Let's see here. If I go to, I'm just trying to find Fantasy National to see who comes up with these things. So I go to Spike in opportunities gained. Let's see. Who is the best? Who's the best in terms of opportunity? Because I was like, why doesn't anyone have any stuff? I have Pebble Beach turned on. Because I do think I'll probably end up making a course full of guys who just putt really well at Pebble Beach in general.
Yeah.
I'll go gain 3 strokes on the field in terms of opportunities gained. Scheffler is by far the best.
So I'm pulling Rory for a second to go back to Scheffler.
So Scheffler, Aubert, Finau, Hoagie, Hovland, Justin Thomas.
Finau for sure because he's cheap. Hovland, Hoagie. Hoagie could definitely.
Hoagie Beach?
Hoagie 6,700. Was Siwoo anywhere near up the top there or no?
No.
So who else did you have? Homa?
No, it wasn't Homa. It was Scotty, Ludwig, Finau, Hoagie, Hovland, Justin Thomas, then Eric Cole, then Rory.
Okay, Cole. Cole takes us down to 6,800. Is there anybody? Oh, Cam Davis, I guess. Is he up there?
Cole. So you have Rory, Hoagie, Cole.
No, I went Scotty. You said he was by far and away, so I'm sticking with him. He's better than Rory for this, and I like him here better. Scotty, Ludwig, Tony Finau. Then you get Eric Cole, Tom Hoagie, and you have $6,800 left.
So the top guys of that price range, Shank, and this is over the past 24 rounds. The Shank is the best, tied with Svensson, tied with Brandon Wu, tied with Nick Hardy, tied with Alex Smalley, tied with Lee Hodges at 6,000. They have all gained at least 3 strokes on the field and opportunities gained, which is a birdie or eagle putt inside of 15 feet in 12% of their rounds. Scotty does that in 25% of his rounds. How locked in he is. But if we do that, what I can do is look on Fantasy National and just sort by past 100 rounds to maybe get a sense of someone who, because I'm only looking at the spike percentage, so the rounds where they do gain.
Yeah, look at like the other. Yeah, exactly.
Connors is actually the best player in the field over the past 100 rounds. It's Connors, Hoagie, Scheffler, Ludwig, Finau, Xander, Rory, JT, Kitayama.
Hoagie, Kitayama,
and then
boost it up. Siwoo is there?
Yeah, Siwoo over the past 100 is there.
Okay, let me see if I can get this good one. And then who was the other guy up top with the, was it Hovland?
Short term, it's Hovland. Long term, Hovland is not there. Xander is there.
This lineup's not bad, but if you could fit Hovland into it, it's Scotty, Hovland, and then you get Connors, Kitayama, Hoagie, Siwoo. That's like all guys that just fire away, and you only probably need 3 of the good 4 rounds from them, right? Like if they can get 2 really good ones or 3 solid ones, like you can fire up some points this way and then mix it around from there. Victor Hovland could be Xander.
What was that lineup?
Scotty could be Rory.
You said Scotty? So Scotty, Siwoo.
It was Scotty, Hovland.
Okay.
The short term, long term. Scotty's both, and Hovland was definitely their short term. And then you got Siwoo, Kitayama, Hoagie, and Connors.
Hoagie and Connors. Okay.
Just firing at pins all day.
Like it.
And again, no 8Ks, no 9Ks. Just skipping the 9Ks alone has to be pretty different to this field. Even though 8Ks always go overlooked, they're going to have some 10 to 12% guys in there and whatnot. So Finau will be super popular.
I like it. Yeah. You want to do our head-to-head draft?
Oh, yeah, by the way.
We
crazy.
tied.
You posted that
We
out?
tied.
That's nuts. Yeah.
So we're 1-1-1.
So I still have the first pick then. It carries over.
You do. I mean, that's not an established rule, but we can establish it right now.
Should be the way it goes.
It should be, but I checked the Constitution. I didn't see it there of
All
this
right.
contest.
Well,
so
we're establishing it now. That's going to be the way it goes here. Let's do that. I'll take Scotty.
And I'll take... I'll take Benan, and then I'll take... You took Scheffler?
I did take Scotty.
I'll take Cantlay. Benan and Cantlay.
I kind of like Cantlay. Let me see here. I'm going to take my guy. Okay, I got 2 I got to get. So I got 1 already. I'm just looking at the other down here. I got to get a value play in here. I'm going to take... I don't like that you said he's in a WD. That would hurt me.
That would not be good in our head-to-head of a no-cut event.
Yeah, I'm going to take Sungjae Im, who we didn't talk a lot about, but he's my boy. And I'm going to take Shank for some value now.
Okay. And then I will take Kitayama at 6,600 and then Thigala at 79. Back to you, said Brian Adams.
Let's go. Let me see. What do I got here now? I got to think about this. If I take... I want to take my guy, Steven Yeager.
Okay.
And then I got to check just because of how this is going to end. Let me see, because you're going to get to go next. So let me just look at one thing, and then I'll kick it back to you.
Mm-hmm.
If I have no outs there, I'm in
People, Paul, if you can throw up my lineup, I have it filled out on my screen. No,
Okay.
you can't see it up there.
It's over.
I want
I'll
to see
take
if
my
you steal
pick.
my guys.
I got Patrick Rogers. I got Steven Yeager, Patrick Rogers.
Okay, so I will take Matthew Fitzpatrick and Justin Thomas as my final two. So my lineup is Cantlay, Thomas, and Fitz, Kitayama with Thigala at 7,900. So I have 2 8s, 2 9s, one very high 7s at 79, and then Kitayama at 66.
Call this head-to-head. I am taking Max Homa as my last guy. So
So-
I have Scotty, Max Homa, Sungjae Im, Steven Yeager, Patrick Rogers, and Adam Schenk.
I like your lineup better.
Remind me, because I'm going to clear this now. I want to know, what was your lineup, just so I know what I'm up against?
My lineup was, let's see here,
know-
Cantlay, Thomas, Fitz,
Kelly Thomas Fitz, Kitayama.
Kitayama, Thigala, Benan.
That's nice. Okay. More balanced.
Very much so. But it also, Kitayama will project out horribly, I bet.
And then who is your guy at 79 or 70?
Thigala.
Oh, Thigala, that's right. Gotcha. Okay, Pat. It actually projects almost the same. Balanced versus a little bit more stars and scrubs.
Well, I would wager that Patrick Rogers probably doesn't really do it all
That's
that
probably
much.
why, yeah.
Or Shank, even.
Yeah, you just have more of like the mid-tier guy, like your Cantlay, JT, even Benny, and Benny rates out good, and Fitzpatrick as well. So those four guys for sure doing it for you. Thigala a little bit for his price tag, but Benny beats him, and you have both, so you're good.
Okay. That'll do it. Unfortunately, it's kind of a bummer, like because of this weather, that we don't get to talk through it like we normally do.
Timing too, like it is what it is. I can't do much about the weather, can't do much about the time, not having the tee times yet, but we'll be back at it next week.
For sure.
Waste Management Phoenix Open, and then I'll be at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Remind people of that right now. They can meet me down there if you want, or hang out. Come find me, take care of you, get you all set up, but it should be a good time.
You guys doing a live show?
We're not doing a live show. We do have like a bunch of events planned. There's
You
an itinerary.
you should do an exclusive show. For anyone who Ship It Nation, you know, you're a card-carrying member, you can use code Mayo at Ship It Nation, but if you are, you can go to a bar and just hear you and Hoop talk. You just do a show at the
Does
bar.
anyone want that? I think it's going to be more, they want the drinks and the food. We will have that. We'll be at Pop Stroke on Friday. We're going to go to the casino on Saturday. We got a Super Bowl watch party on Sunday. It's going to be a good time. Going down there with the DGen75.com crew and James. So it should be a pretty good one.
Nice. He is on this show tomorrow. It'll be James, myself, and Cam Stewart for the debut episode of PGA Best Bets. We're going to try to work that into the fold, more so after football completely ends, and I'm back from vacation, but we wanted to do a test balloon with James and Cam this week as we start rotating people in and out of the Best Bet show, so stay tuned for that. I'll be back with Cust and Jeff and maybe Pizzola on Thursday for the NFL awards. Then boom, it's Super Bowl week. It's Waste Management week, one of the busiest weeks you can have at the Pat Mayo Experience for the two sports that we love to cover, both football and golf. All right, smash the like to the episode. I apologize for my state of mind. I'm very sick, and it is not running all full gear. As you can just see by my analogy right now, I got nothing left in the tank. All right, so good luck. Win some money on DraftKings. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience. Experience.